Good evening, everyone. My name is Errol Hingco, and I want to introduce my wife and my family. My wife, Lizette, who has been in my household for 12 years. And my kids, Sean and Lizzie, I think they're playing on the back. So as most talks do, they usually start off with a joke, right? There was once a millionaire, actually, and the millionaire was collecting alligators in his pool. So in the back of his mansion, and one day he wanted to throw a party, and he said, you know what? I'm going to invite a ton of people to come to my house so they can see my house and they can see my pet alligator. So they can see my pet alligators. So there's a ton of people that show up at his house, and he made an announcement. He said, I have a proposition for all of you guys. For all the men in here, and also that millionaire has a beautiful daughter who happens to be single. I said, I have a proposition. And my proposition is, whoever can swim across the pool and survive the alligators can either have my daughter, or they can have $1 million. So before he even finished his last word, there was a splash in the pool. And then there was guys trying to trying to swim across the swimming pool. And everybody was cheering him, go, 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 go. And then he finally made it. He finally made it across the pool. And when he got there, the millionaire said, man, I am so impressed. I didn't think that it can be done, right? Now I'm out $1 million over my daughter. I said, what is it that you want? Do you want my daughter, or do you want $1 million? And the guy said, sir, I don't want your money. I don't want your daughter either. I want the guy who pushed me in the pool. So that's what happened with our family sometimes, brothers and sisters. There's a lot of sharks and alligators are there, and our families are being tossed inside that pool, a bunch of sharks and alligators. I tried to stretch it to make it work, but... So tonight, we're going to talk about the Christian family. The Christian family is actually a broad topic. I mean, we could probably talk about that for 2, 3, 4 weeks, right? It's such a broad topic. So what we have is, we comprised it into 4 different sections. We're going to talk about the Christian family. So there are going to be 4 subjects. The first section would be the family as an institution is under attack. We're going to find out what's causing the assault into our family. What are the factors that are involved that our family are being assaulted. The next one is, what is God's plan for the family? Actually, I want to go back when I was telling the joke earlier to my kids, because I was testing it out, if it worked. My son, Sean, did you guys see Sean, little kid running around here? He said, you know what, Dad? That's not going to work, Dad. That's not logical. And I said, why? What do you mean it's not logical? The millionaire is going to think that there's too much risk, I said, Sean, this is a joke, man. It's not supposed to be logical. Get alive. Nobody's going to invite you to the party, Sean. Anyway, so the next one is God's plan. What is God's plan for the family? So hopefully when you leave here tonight, you will understand that each of you has a responsibility of knowing and understanding what is God's plan for your family. And the third one is, why is God's plan not working? There are a lot of factors that are involved that is causing for God's plan not to work. I mean, what is it? There's a lot of outside forces that are causing it not to work. And we're going to learn all that tonight. And then the last one is, what can we do to ensure that God's plan happens? So what we did is that there's 4 sections. So since I believe in equal rights, I split it up with my wife and I. So she's going to take 2 sections, and I'm going to take 1. So he's going to start off with the family as an institution is under attack.
Good evening. My name is Lizette, and like what Errol said, I will be doing the first part of the talk. Let me start with a quote from our late Pope John Paul II. He said, "The future of humanity passes by way of the family." Back in the late 1950s, there was this young girl. Is it close enough? Back in the late 1950s, there was this young girl named Norma Leah Nelson. She was 10 years old back then, and she took money from the gas station where she used to work to run away from home. And her grandmother was a prostitute and fortune teller, her father was a television repairman, and her mother was an alcoholic. After running away from home, she went to reform schools until the 9th grade, and then at age 16, she got married to a steel worker named Woody McCorvey. Norma said that her husband Woody beat her, so she decided to go back to her mother in Dallas, Texas, and decided to raise her unborn child alone. But then, after she gave birth to her daughter, Melissa, her mother adopted Melissa and decided to raise her by herself. So what followed for her were years of drug and alcohol abuse, and she got jobs that are so varied, like a circus barker or a bartender. And then at age 19, she had an affair with a co-worker and got pregnant with her second child. And she didn't have any money. She put her second daughter up for adoption. That was late 1960s, and abortion was illegal back then in Texas. So after that, she had another affair and got pregnant again with a third child. And it was then that she met Sarah Weddington and Linda Coffey, the lawyers who would take the Roe case all the way to the United States Supreme Court. And since 1973, Norma Leah McCorvey has also been known as Jane Roe, the plaintiff who challenged the Texas law in the landmark Roe versus Wade case, which established constitutional rights to abortion. It was a landmark case that changed America's landscape. And on the 40th anniversary of the Roe versus Wade case, last January of this year, 2013, there have been more than 55 million abortions that have destroyed the lives of unborn children. Norma Leah McCorvey didn't only polarize America, but it transformed our civilization. And that transforming power that makes the family's role in the society very crucial. So, that said, what's the definition of a family? How do you define a family? Anyone who would volunteer to define a family? Well, I guess not. But anyway, when we look at the situation of our society today, we see a lot of signs of family disintegration, along with the many new definitions of family. Some of which are women having children without fathers by using artificial means of insemination. Others maintain that marriage is not necessary. At the same time, we have a high percentage of divorce, domestic violence, young people involved in gangs, and the problem of substance abuse. President Obama even approved of same-sex marriage. So the very basis and stability of the family as an institution are under attack. A report by the Pew Research Center identified 7 trends of family, and most of the 7 trends are quite disturbing. More unmarried couples raising children, more gay and lesbian couples raising children, more single women having children without a male partner to help raise them, more people living together without getting married, more women not ever having children by choice. But then again, we don't need to look outward to realize that the family is under attack. We can just look at our own respective families to figure out that we are under attack. I remember when I was a young child back in the Philippines, I used to like, there were times that I used to look forward at dinner time because I will spend that with my family in the dinner table. We used to talk a lot for hours, like especially when my extended family or relatives come over. We spend time in the patio and just talk and laugh until late at night. And those were memorable times that I miss a lot. But right now, with our busy schedule and a stressful life, I guess, some families even find it hard to bring all of the family members in the dinner table all at the same time. And then, I work full time, so when I get home, I get so tired, and there's still so many things to do. And when I work with my daughter Lizzie on her homework, I lose patience, and I struggle a lot. So there's so many struggles, challenges as well in our own respective families. The definition of family is falling apart. But as Christian Catholics, we have a serious responsibility and challenge to defend the family as a natural institution and to strengthen its roots in the Christian faith. We are in very challenging times, but it's the same as what the early Christians experienced. Back in the days of the early Christians, life was so cheap. 2/3 of the people were slaves. And the father had the right to kill his own children or slaves. And for a husband to be able to divorce his wife, all he needed to do is just put her wife out and shut the door on her. And then women were looked upon as servants of men and tools of male pleasure. This was the world that the poor apostles were expected to convert. But the early Christians were not daunted. Thanks to them, we are now Christians. We are among those in today's time of upheaval, called to live their faith as the early Christians did. Our very human happiness depends upon it. For this, we need to put on God's mind and to follow His plan for the family. But what are God's plans for the family? Errol will discuss that next part.
God's plan for the family. So the family is the basic unit of our society. What really God wants us to do is to understand that the family is an important part of our culture, of our civilization. It is the core of our civilization. For example, let's take a look at this apple here. Okay? And let's think that this apple here is our society. It's pretty solid, right? I mean, it's not gonna collapse. It's pretty hard. You can bang it on the podium, it's not going to collapse. But the core of the apple represents the family. If you remove the core of the apple, and I squeeze it, what do you think would happen? It was collapsed and disintegrate. The same thing with our families, brothers and sisters. So we do the same thing with our society. So we do need the family in our culture, in our society. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 27 to 28, said, God created man in His image. In the divine image, He created him. Male and female, He created them. God blessed them, saying, be fertile and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, and all the living things that move on earth. So basically, God created this beautiful universe. It's such a beautiful earth, and He said, you know what? I want you guys to go out there and multiply. Fill it up, with humans, with babies. But what He also wants to say is that I want you to subdue it. In other words, we should not allow our work, our other responsibilities to bog us down. We should not allow it. We should not allow. He only wants us to. He can allow work, money, possession, and own or dictate our actions. Part of our family traditions, my wife and my two kids, is once a month we would get together and we would talk about our pros and cons regarding our behavior. So we would usually hang out at a restaurant, spend an hour there or so, and we would go around and say, let's talk about mom. What do you like about mom? What do you dislike about mom? So usually start off with negative. That way, when we leave there, we're not fighting or anything like that. So, and we end up with a positive, obviously. But we were running out of time recently. 2 weeks ago, we went and met at Ruby's, and we talked about it. And I said, since we're running out of time, why don't we just talk about the positive this time? That way it's going to be quicker. I think we were going to catch a movie or something. So when it came to my turn, my kids would told me, you know what, Dad, you know what I noticed about you recently? You've been happier, Dad. You've been less stressed. And you know what, brothers and sisters? That is actually true. That's absolutely true. I have been happier lately. I have been less stressed. And the reason for that is because I gave up my dream. I gave up my dream of owning my own insurance agency. And that dream, that same dream that almost broke me, that same dream that almost broke me financially and emotionally, I gave that up. And the reason for that is because I give up my dream of owning that so I don't have to destroy my family's dream of having a family, of having a happy family. And you know what? Sometimes when one door closes on you, there's two other doors that will open up, behind you. And it's worth it. Would I do it again? I will do it every day. I will do it again, over and over and over again, because that's what is God's plan for my family. In 1981, Pope John Paul II's exhortation called Familiaris Consortio as to the role of Christian family stated, and since in God's plan it has been established as an intimate community of life and love, the family has a mission to become more and more what it is, that is to say, a community of life and love, in an effort that it will find fulfillment and it will everything created and redeemed in the kingdom of God. I think what Pope John Paul is saying, brothers and sisters, that we should love one another. We should extend our love to our neighbors, to our friends, even to our enemies, as you guys have learned last week in talk number 6. And also on top of that, we should also love life. We should embrace life. Embracing life means that we have to stay away from activities or actions that prohibit or prevent life. For example, murder, euthanasia, abortion, or any activities, contraceptives, any activities that would prevent life, because God wants us to go out there and multiply and grow. I have been following the case, the Prop 8. Have you guys heard about the Proposition 8 that has been discussed at the Supreme Court recently? Charles Cooper is the attorney that is representing the yes on 8. And what it is that his argument is that procreation is a purpose of marriage. So Justice Breyer, who happens to be one of the liberal judges, so those are, if you guys don't know, those are our Supreme Court judges. The one in the corner, I think she's a little mad. She's sitting up in the corner by herself. I like this guy here, he's so cool. He said, yeah, I got this. So there's some conservative judges and some liberal judges. And Breyer said, now, what happens to our argument about the institution of marriage as a tool towards procreation, given the fact that in California, too, couples that aren't gay but can't have children get married all the time? At the outset, it does make sense, right? People get married and they know they're not going to have kids. Why use that procreation as a reason for a marriage between a man and a woman? Like I said, at the outset, it sounds good. And here's another liberal judge, Judge Kagan. And she said, no, really, because if the couple, I can just assure you, if both the woman and the man are over the age of 55, there are not a lot of children coming out of marriage. And you know what? That may be true. But for us Christians, though, even if we can just get one life out of that couple, one life out of that 55-year-old woman or 50-year-old woman, it is going to be such a blessing. That's why we go out and fight for abortion rights. Pro-life. That's why we go out there, because if we can just have that one baby, it's really, really worth it. What I would probably tell. So this is the Prop 8. I don't know if you guys remember, that was back in 2008. And even then, we tried to get our kids involved. And that was Sean, when he was 8 years old, actually. all his friends were probably going to the park, but said, you know what, Sean, let's go and, hold a sign over there at the corner of Jamboree and Barranca. And Lindsay also, I mean, she's all excited to join, and then, she wasn't able to go in the morning, so she said, let's go back at night, Dad. And I really want to participate and really be part of this. One of the things that we teach our kids is that it's not always about you. Let's do these things for other people. But you know what? This is what I would tell. If I was the one defending yes and property, this is probably what I would tell the judges. In the presence of hope for us Christians, Your Honor, in the presence of hope, faith is born. In the presence of love, in the presence of faith, the love is a possibility. In the presence of love, miracles will happen. And you know what? Miracles do happen, brothers and sisters. Let's look at the Bible. The women in the Bible who were thought to be barren. Can you guys name a few? Well, Manoah's wife, who is Samson's mother. I tried to research, I spent a lot of time researching what's her name, and I can never find her name. You guys know what her name is? Samson's mother. It's just like, it's probably uncool, just like, Lizette, just like me, people would know me as Lizette's husband, right? Or Sean's dad. But anyway, poor woman. But you know what? She was thought to be barren, yet she ended up having a child. Rebecca, the wife of Isaac. Hannah, the mother of Samuel the prophet. And of course, we all know Sarah, the wife of Abraham. And there's one more important woman that's not there yet. You guys know who she is? Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist and the cousin of Mary. So, people will say, you know what, that only happens in the Bible. It doesn't happen nowadays, right? Well, you know what, that's not true, because if you look at today, look at this 50-year-old Australian woman who gave birth without IVF. Does anybody know what IVF stands for? In vitro fertilization. And the Catholic doesn't really agree with that. When I saw that, I said, what's IVF stand for? I thought it was Irvine Valley female or something like that. So basically, it does happen in today's society. It does happen because there are women over the age of 50 that are having a child. And you know what happens with that baby? Do you know that one baby that comes out of the woman's womb, it's going to be a present for the future spouse, right? I mean, if you're going to be the spouse of that person who you thought was not going to give birth, I mean, it's just an exciting to know. Also, their offsprings of the offsprings of the baby who was born out of a 55-year-old female. And I know, and as I have said earlier, even one life is very, very important. Let's look at people in our society in the past that were adopted and they could have been aborted. Eleanor Roosevelt, Faith Hill. You guys know Faith Hill? Sorry, she's country singer, right? I mean, what would happen if she wasn't born, if she was aborted? Maybe somebody in Oklahoma would probably be singing rap music instead of country music. But Jesse Jackson, I mean, he has done a lot for the African American community. John Lennon. I mean, can you imagine the sadness of Yoko Ono if John Lennon wasn't born? Moses, right? I mean, Israelites would still be in Egypt without Moses. I was thinking about this. I said, Moses, I think if Moses just continued a little bit, because we know that he, when he took the Israelites from Egypt, he couldn't have turned left because that's the Red Sea. I mean, but if he just continued a little further and turned right, just veered right a little bit, he would have ended up partying in Saudi Arabia, and there would have been a lot of oil. But because, hindsight is always 20/20. He picked up, he should have really kept them going. So who else do we have here? Nancy Reagan. Behind a successful man, there's a strong woman. So Nelson Mandela. There might have been apartheid still in South Africa without Nelson Mandela. Bill Clinton. Some of these people I'm not really a great fan of. I'm just putting them up there because they were on the list. Alexander the Great. Priscilla Presley. Mark Twain. Gerald Ford. Dave Thomas. My kids like you know who Dave Thomas is? Founder Wendy's, yeah, my kids love the cheesy cheddar burgers. I mean, it's only $1. You know, if not for Dave Thomas, I don't know who would be going. Babe Ruth, I mean, who would think, you know, a big guy like him can play baseball, right? And then there's one last thing. Anybody here who has an iPhone? Raise your hand if you have an iPhone. If the next person was aborted instead of adopted, you all be walking around with a Samsung Galaxy right now. And that's Steve Jobs. So as you can see, just one life, brothers and sisters, can change the whole society. Just one life. So God intended man and woman to be one. No independent individuals producing babies, but husband and wife raising a family. Gay marriage is such a serious issue nowadays that there are now, as of last week, because there's a recent one this week, as of last week there were 11 states that have legalized gay marriage. And last week was the state of Delaware. Do you know why Delaware is significant? Delaware has a high population of Catholics. If in a state where we have a lot of Catholics, they would allow gay marriage, you know, California is coming. It's right there. They're going to make a decision in June about California. And my thinking is it's probably gonna overturn, you know, the will of the people. But, you know, all we do is pray and really be part of the fight. The reason why God created man and woman is because and become married is because the wives have nurturing, because they supplement each other. The wives are the nurturing type and the analytical type, and the husband's usually the practical and the leadership side types. So a couple weeks ago, Sean went to our room early in the morning, maybe like 5 o'clock in the morning, and he said, you know, Mom, Dad, you know, I can't breathe, I have stuffy nose, I can't go back to sleep. And Lizette said, you know what, let's go put some Vicks, Sean. You know, that's the nurturing side, right? So I told him, go back to sleep, put a couple pillows on your head, and just elevate it. Well, he came back like about 10 minutes later and he said, Dad, you know, I still can't breathe. So Mom said, you know, let's put some Vicks. I said, no. Sean, why don't you go in the bathroom, turn on the shower, and just inhale the steam, and you'll get better. And that's the difference, I guess, with husband and wife, because imagine if Sean had 2 moms, what would happen? He's going to have one mom rubbing Vicks on his chest, and he's going to have another mom rubbing chest on his back, right? So that's why there's got to be a balance between practicality and the nurturing type. That's why, you know, you have 2 moms or 2 dads, for that case. Also a place for teaching children. We don't want our kids to learn things that we don't want to learn elsewhere. So we want them to learn that in our house. Can you name the top school in the nation? Can anybody name the top school in the nation? Top school. Ivy League University, yeah. Harvard, that's right. Yeah, Harvard is actually one of the top ones. So, well, what about military school? Can you think of a top military school? West Point, yeah. I don't even know any other military school. So, West Point is one of them.
Air Force.
And the Air Force is also good. And what about, can you think of the best place that was voted as the best place to work at in 2013?
Google.
Exactly, Google. Google. You know why they like Google? You know why everybody wants to work for Google?
Daycare.
Free daycare. There's a lot of benefits. Free food, right? I like that. Gym. Exactly, gym. So those, you know what? As a matter of fact, I told my kids, you know what? Our family is actually at Google. I said, no, Dad, what are you talking about? Well, you guys get free food. You know, you're not paying for it. At the same time, we also have a gym. I said, where's our gym, Dad? Well, when you take out the trash on Tuesdays, that's your workout, man. So this is actually, my family, the Hingco family is actually Google. Oh, they do also, really? Yeah, it's... It's good for family, right? Yeah. Oh wow. You work with them?
No, I read an article.
Yeah.
It's trying to do that too.
Oh, okay. There's a lot of companies that are trying to do that. Yeah. Yeah, and that's good. You know, when there's a leader out there, everybody will try to follow. Everybody wants to be, especially when the job market is tight. Everybody wants to compete for that little workforce that's available, or the skilled workforce that's available. So they do everything that they can to attract talent. So we're talking about. So what we're trying to do, brothers and sisters, is make sure that our families will be the Google, would be the West Point, and would be the Harvard of the world. You know, we get the best training. We offer the best perks. You know, making sure that our kids are having a great time and not being abandoned and ignored. And at the same time, instill discipline. And to instill discipline in them, just like the military school. So teaching is also not formal. Rather, it comes in the everyday activities of life. You know, Lizzie, my little daughter, she turned 10 actually, recently, and I keep on telling her, you know, Lizzie, we need to pray. If you have a problem, you always have to pray. And she said, Dad, you know what? I prayed that, but I didn't do too good on my test. And I said, well, let me tell you a story, Lizzie. There was a rabbi and a priest. They went to see a boxing match in Las Vegas. And there was a boxer who went up on the ring, and, you know, he went around and you know, everybody cheered him up. And then the second one, he got up in the ring, and then he knelt down in his corner, and he crossed himself. He made a sign of the cross. And what did the priest and the rabbi whispered to the priest? He said, what does that mean? What does making a sign of the cross mean? And the priest said, it means nothing if you can't fight. So my point is, Lizzie, if you don't study, you're not going to get, you know, a good grade. God is not going to put everything on a platter and present it to us. We actually have to do the work. And also a few Sundays ago, these are the things that, you know, when you find opportunities to teach your kids, you know, like I said, teaching is not really formal. You don't sit your kids down at 8 o'clock every Friday evening and teach them, you know, catechism, because they don't learn that way. They learn when you apply practical things. Like, for example, 3 Sundays ago, we were at St. Thomas More, and I noticed that Lizzie wasn't paying attention during the gospel reading. She was fiddling with her finger and playing. You know, I can't say typical kids because they shouldn't be like that, but I said, Lizzie, how come you're not paying attention? Hopefully they're not listening in the back. Lizzie, how come you're not paying attention? Well, Dad, you know what? A lot of these things I don't understand. You know, the Gospels, I don't understand this, Dad. And I said, well, let me put it this way, Lizzie. When your mom cooks, she puts all kinds of ingredients there, and she cooks it all kinds of different ways. A lot of things I don't understand either. But I eat it anyway, Lizzie. You know why? Because if I don't eat it, Lizzie, I'm going to starve. The same thing with our spirituality, with our souls. If you don't absorb, you know, the Gospels, our spiritually, we will spiritually starve as well. You know, honestly, I don't know if she understood it, but it sounded good though, right? So we need to review our own values and see the place of Jesus in our life, because there are values your children will learn. So what kind of values do we impart to our children? Yes, you're going to be surprised there. What kind of values do you want to impart in our children? That is like, they miss it. Anyway, give me 1 second. Does that fit my slides this morning? I'm just going to blame it on her. She's in trouble. I love her, actually. I do love her. So don't mistake it. We just tease each other a lot. Anyway, sorry about that. So we'll just talk about. I don't know where I am, but we teach our kids about values of life. And for example, sometimes we teach them about having faith in God. And sometimes they say, you know what, Dad? For example, when I was looking for work, you know, Sean would always come up to me and say, hey, Dad, you know what? He said, Dad, did you find a job? Did you find work today? Every afternoon, you know, when he comes home from school, he would ask me that. said, no, Sean, I haven't found a job yet. So, but I'm looking though. And then the following day we'll do the same. Hey, Dad, did you find a job yet? I said, no, Sean, I haven't found a job yet. But everybody's praying for me. And but you just have to faith. You just have to have faith. And I said, faith is like a muscle. That's why you saw the muscle, right? If you don't use faith, if you don't use your muscle, is that? You're not gonna look toned like that, right? But so what happened? Let me ask you this: what happens with a muscle if you stop working out? What happens to a muscle? It goes down, right? So this is what happens if you don't practice your faith, brothers and sisters. You do have a choice. So you do have a choice. I mean, if you practice your faith, that's what you look like. But if you don't, you're going to look like him. So it's up to you. The choice is yours. You also need to review your own values and see the place of Jesus in your life because in your life, because these are the values your children will learn. Okay, here you go. Sorry, there you go. I'm caught up. Do you guys know who this man is?
CIA.
Yeah. David Petraeus. There you go, Tito. Let me read you his accolades. He has 37 years in the U.S. Army, 37 long years. He has an MPA in 1985, a PhD in International Relations in 1987. He was the commanding multinational force in Iraq in 2007 and 2008. He was the commanding of the U.S. Central Command, the CENTCOM, in Iraq War, 08 and 2010. And then he was the commander of U.S. forces in Afghanistan, 2010 and 2011. And lately, the most recent one, he was the CIA director. But the most recent one, he was unemployed, actually, because he got fired. Do you know why he got fired?
Yes.
Why did he get fired?
Extramarital activity.
Extramarital affairs. One screw up, it just ruined his career. So no matter what kind of background you have, what kind of education you have, if you can't manage your own household, how can you manage the country, right? How you can manage the affair? The same thing with our families. If our home is not taken care of, and then we can go out there and preach things and talk to people, because we have to start that from our house. Strong leadership is like, people might think that when you try to welcome God into your home, that's weakness. Actually, that's strong leadership, brothers and sisters. If we allow God into our homes, to walk around our homes, not just a weekend visitor, but someone who lives there. Not like your mother-in-law, who would only stay there for 6 weeks, or 6 months for my wife's mom, because she's on visa. But, longer. We want God actually to be permanently living in our house. And the reason for that is because once we're comfortable with God living in our house, and then what happens when Satan knocks on the door? Usually, that's the time when we are so weak. And when we go open the door, we're going to get tempted. But if God is in our house, and we feel so comfortable about God, and say, Satan knocks on the door, says, God, can you do me a favor and open that door? And God will just knock him down, right? So, brothers and sisters, we need to welcome God into our homes. The family is a domestic church. Husbands are the pastors, and their husbands, are the pastors, and the wives are the co-pastors. They're not, the altar servers. They're actually our co-pastors. And the reason for that they have to have a great role in our relationship, is because, do you guys remember Adam and Eve? You remember the story? Oh, of course you do, right? God took a rib from Adam, right? So he can turn that into Eve. Where did he take the rib from? Did he take it from his behind so he can sit on her? No, right? Did he take the rib from his head, from one of the piece of his skull, so she could be over him? No. Did he take the rib from one of his toes so we can step on, on our wives? No. But he took the rib from the area where it's closest to our heart. And that's how we should be treating our wives. So they're basically our equals when it comes to running our domestic church. And our home should also have some symbolism. You know, when you walk into a house, a Christian house, we should see crosses. We should see, you know, statues, instead of seeing, you know, a 70-inch TV as you walk in, or a grand piano. We should be seeing some kind of Christian signs. You know, as pastors, also what I do when I drop off my kids in the morning is that I bless them. I bless them when I drop them off, even though I get mad at them sometimes in the morning because it takes them a while to dress or eat their breakfast. I still bless them, and sometimes when people are looking at me blessing them, I just kind of like wave. No, I'm just waving. We shouldn't really be embarrassed about blessing our kids, but you know, sometimes they give you dirty looks. So we get our spiritual nourishment from our domestic church, right, from our homes. Now, can you imagine, since we want our homes to be a domestic church, if our homes are running perfectly as a domestic church, right now we have a church here, we have maybe another church, you know, 5, I don't know, maybe in the next city. Can you imagine if every single of the homes becomes a domestic church? Can you imagine how powerful we are as Catholics, as Christians? Right now there's 2 billion Catholics. So say, for example, there's only going to be, if we have, you know, if we got that in fourth, so that's 250 million churches that we can create if we just develop churches into our homes. So that's basically what is God's plan for our family. Now we'll talk about the third section.
Fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. We spoil our children, one who grows up to expect to have his way in everything. We try to give them a lot of material things. Some are very unnecessary. Our children have an iPad. They only have one iPad to share. And sometimes, like even on our way here, they fight a lot on whose turn is it to use the iPad. But then when we ban them from using the iPad, they seem to get along pretty well. So that's why sometimes I say that the iPad is really the evil one, because it's really ruining a lot of things for them. Well, a lack of proper discipline, more than anything, will create insecurity in the child. The limits that parents set up for their children are actually like walls. Walls sometimes are perceived to be like a prison cell, very frustrating, but that's the extreme. The walls are usually more often, a lot of times, they are beneficial to us. They are actually symbols of safety. They make us secure. Like who would, like at night at home, who doesn't feel secure because of the walls that are there? So disciplinary limits are like that to children. Next is we fail to surround our children with a fortress of prayer, trusting the Spirit of God to do for them what He did for us. Family prayers, family rosary are oftentimes, well, not oftentimes, but then sometimes they are, we fail to do them on a consistent, like on a daily basis because of too much things. It's like crazy schedule, and even though we try to do family prayer, family rosary as often as we want, there are times when we couldn't consistently do it because we are just very busy. And in Pope John Paul II's apostolic exhortation, Familiaris Consortio, the Pope calls parents the first heralds of the gospel for their children. By praying with their children, by introducing them to the liturgy of the church, parents become truly parents. Next is, we don't set good examples. How can we possibly convince our children that material things are not the most important things in this world, in life, when we save up money for a new car, a new home, or a new TV, and then we don't save up for things that will advance the work of the Lord, like to invest in those things that we know would help the Catholic Church? Or how can we expect them to know that God is always with them, an ever-present help in times of trouble, when in times of crisis at home, when we have arguments at home, they see you very frustrated, very bitter, very resentful. But not just in bigger things, like for example, following the traffic rules, or not saying bad words. Those are small things that we need to be cognizant about, and we don't. So setting good examples. And then we don't spend enough time with our children. Even when I'm at home, I'm supposed to be spending time with the children, but I am so busy doing the laundry or doing household chores that I am not able to even monitor them on what they are watching on YouTube or doing on the computer. Next is, the family itself is losing its importance. Through the years, many of its responsibilities have been taken over by other groups in society. I remember my mom, she explained to me our family tree. We have a quite complicated family tree because my great-grandmother was widowed twice and married twice. And so there were so many half-aunt, half-uncle in our whole clan. And she explained to me our whole family tree in detail. But now, my son Sean, he has a project at school to write a report about a country of his choice. Naturally, he chose the Philippines because that's the birth country of both of his parents. You would think that most of the information that he would put in his report would come from our stories, our sharing, but no. He's been going into the internet, using Google to just get information about the different islands in the Philippines and stuff like that. So he's been working on it by just getting information from this technology that we have right now. So even that, we can even support our children. Well, what a shame. Modern recreation facilities allow very little interaction among family members. I was saying about the iPad thing earlier. Well, they've been even in the car, instead of talking and interacting with one another, they just use the iPad, or at home they use the computer. Even when they meet with their friends, they play with the iPad. So there's little interaction instead of back in the days when we just talk and do things that have more interaction. And the next one is the pace of modern life has become fast. This has made it difficult for lasting relationships to develop. Today I took a vacation day, and coincidentally, it was also my children's lunch with loved ones day. I've never been to one. Usually it's Errol who goes to my children's events. And so since I'm off today, I went to the lunch with loved ones day. And it was my first time. So during lunch, while having lunch with my son, Sean, he told me, thanks mom for coming. And of course I was touched and I was happy that I went. And I wish I could have done that more during the past years, to have set aside a time to really go to those events, because those are moments that build relationships. And because of our busy schedule, we tend to skip things, but then important things that actually bond you with your children, with your family. And the last one, the family is under attack by evil forces. The devil wants to break up the family, which is the basic foundation for a healthy society. The devil promotes many things that work to undermine the family. That's it. So now, Errol will discuss some practical advices on what can we do to
So what can we do to improve the Christian family? So during this part of our presentation, we usually ask the audience participation. So I'm going to be asking most of you guys, if you guys have some ideas, now that you know what is God's plan for your family, what is it that you can do? What is it that you can do to be able to ensure that God's plan does happen? Anyone? Any volunteers? I'm going to ask the young ones here. What is it that you guys can do to make sure that God's plan happens?
Spend quality time.
Spend quality time with your family, okay? I mean, sometimes that's tough because we all have responsibilities, we all have friends, activities, and it's hard to do that. We just have to really find ways and find time to do it. If we have to write it down on a schedule and schedule our appointment with our family, you know, we have to do that. Anything else that you guys can think of that would strengthen?
Monitor the activities of the children.
Monitor the activities of the children. Very good, Tito. And a lot of times what a lot of the parents do, actually, they don't allow computers in the rooms anymore. They have them outside so everybody can see it. You know, it's funny because a few weeks ago, a few Fridays ago, we went to watch a movie. And we saw these kids. When I say kids, they're probably like middle schoolers. And they have shorts. I said, would I allow, you know, my kids to wear that? I don't know, Lizette was saying, well, maybe that's the in thing now. Everybody's wearing, you know, those kind of shorts. And I can't imagine that, you know, one of them just knocked out, you know, wearing regular clothes and would leave. But, you know, it's hard for me. Maybe I'm an old-timer. I can't see my kids doing that. So anything else that you guys could think of that would strengthen the Christian family that we can do? Because you know what? It's easier, actually, brothers and sisters, to stand on the sideline, right? But if they stand on the sideline, do not expect to impact the activity or the outcome of the game. Just like watching a game. You can see the parents, like when you go to like a baseball game for kids or youth, you see all these parents yelling, yeah, you know, tag that guy, kick that ball, but you know what? It doesn't do anything because they're just sitting on the sideline. So we actually have to do something ourselves. We actually have to step in to participate and impact the game. I don't think anything could have happened with the Lakers even if we you know, jumped in. But you know, for the most part, you know, there's something that we can do. What else? Yes.
One thing we did was Mason was going through the training for first community.
Okay.
And anyways, unfortunately, that some of the home activities they had parents do were a little dry in my opinion. But we had the opportunity to watch with him the Bible ministers, and we did Sheila, because I know some parts.
Right. Something pretty strong. Right.
There, talking about
Okay.
But he actually had so many questions. And I think that's the thing, like kids are kind of bored by the Christian faith, unfortunately.
Right.
They need to understand how exciting it can be.
Right.
the stories are amazing. You
Right.
know, so
Right.
you tell them the stories,
Right.
they learn.
And they
Ask
the
questions.
question. Right.
They're so used to the cartoons and the movies and the production and all that. They see the real stories of really what's going on.
Right.
They get excited about it.
Right.
So,
But it brought up a lot of good.
So how yeah, so do you guys do this often now as a family?
We did it during the Easter season.
we have always read children's Bible book.
Okay. Yeah.
So it has pictures and
Right.
And you would actually say, oh, I remember that story that he remembered Paul and Tarsus being blinded and push off.
and then you try to apply that to things going on.
Right. So they can understand better. Right. They can relate to it.
It doesn't always connect. but
No.
you
Yeah.
try
You
to
can stretch it sometimes,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay. Very good. That's great. You know what? Our family, we also try to do. We started do Bible sharing also recently, and I thought they're gonna get bored because you know it's a regular Bible like Sean. You know, he has his own Bible. I think it was given by Mrs. Shirley on his birthday, and he's actually using it. So we do Bible sharing. We try to do it once a week, and you know, there's times when I called him in a room and said, "Hey, Sean, Lizzie, let's go pray in a room. You know, let's go pray now." And he brought his Bible, and then when he knew that we were just going to do Bible, we were just going to do our regular praise. Oh, I thought we were going to do Bible sharing. So they get excited about it. Even Lizzie, I mean, she always picks like the Genesis part because it's always fun. But you know, I think this is the time, especially with what's going on in our society, to really train our kids. You know, to bolt them down, to get them grounded in the Catholic faith. And Bible is one of them. Okay, yeah, so, yeah, I'm sorry, good question. So what we do is that we would read a passage, our favorite passage, and then we would also talk about how that impact us or what that means to us. So they would pick their favorite, Bible passage. And what I do, sometimes they don't pay attention, they don't listen, if they don't like it. So I make, every time we do have one, we would make them summarize what we talked about. So they're actually forced to listen. Sometimes they're a pretty hard subject, but they're forced to listen and they're able to do the summaries in their own way. A lot of times it's going to be a shortcut. It's going to be like a one sentence when they talk about, we spent, they get 5 minutes talking about it. But it's okay, that's the start. That's the start.
Probably an iPad for that.
You know what, you're probably right. If not, maybe you can start that. We can make some money there. So we basically have, we have to be committed to God's plan. When you're committed to God's plan, you got to have, I copied this from one of the servant leaders in our ministry. He has actually a mission statement for his family. It's pretty long. Did you guys see Brother Tofi's mission statement? It's pretty long actually. So, my family and I, we created one. And it's not a mission statement because he already, Brother Tofi already has a mission statement. So ours is just a vision. It's a family vision. And I'm going to read it to you because these are like the contributions of the kids. Because I asked them, what do you think? What do you see our family, in the future? What do you want our family to be? So I'm going to read it. It says, the family that prays together, dedicated to life, service, and total dependence on God. Total dependence on God. Because that's very hard to teach the kids, to be dependent on Him because they think, we're not getting what we ask for. Accomplished through the grace of Mother Mary's intercession. So we put this actually on the door of our pantry. So every morning when the kids would, get their bowls for, to have cereal or for whatever breakfast, they will see that, they will read that. So hopefully they'll remember it. So the other thing that we can do is also to make our family strong is to build a strong family. Sorry. I'm borderline diabetic, so I get thirsty a lot. Dry throat. Okay. So we need to also, the second one would be you make a strong effort to build a strong family. Spending time together, for example. We have to develop the strengths. The way that we develop our relationships is, by spending time as a family. So we need to find an activity that everyone would like. In many cases in our homes, we use prayer as a last resort, right? If we have tried everything and we're not getting what we want or we're asking for, so we pray. For those of you guys who are basketball buffs, what do you call when you make a shot? Like a last-minute shot or last-second shot, and you're like half court and you're hoping that you will make it. What do you call that?
Hail Mary.
A Hail Mary shot, right? But you know what? In the Christian homes, though, brothers and sisters, Hail Mary should be the first shot. That should be the first thing that we need to do instead of being a last resort. But you know what? With the Lakers, there's a lot of Hail Marys there, but nothing really happened. Huh? And also, the fathers have to step up. They have to step up the plate and do the responsibilities to be a good role model to these children. I saw this. We went to Big Bear in January, and we went on a snow play, and so we were in line on a ticket booth, and I saw the father and the daughter arguing with each other, and I heard the daughter said, "Mom, Dad told the lady in the booth, in the ticket booth, I'm only 10, but he knows I'm 11, Mom." Man, so the dad basically lied. And that dad was so embarrassed. He was so red. He looked like a lobster, after that. Yeah. So kids, you can't just tell kids, you know what, kids, do what I say, not what I do, because it doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. So fathers need to step off the plate and be a good role model for their children by taking responsibilities for providing spiritual and material needs for their family. Let's look at some of the most common, what do you think are the common things about the Boston Marathon, the Sarnai brothers, Adam Lanza, and Charles Manson? What are the common things about them? What do they have in common? Their fathers were either absent in their household, or their fathers were not even there to begin with. So, as fathers of the family, as the head of the family, we need to step up because we are the ones that can instill discipline on our kids. And the other one also is learn more about God's vision in your family. What is it? What is your God's vision in your family? We need to attend, like in our Couples for Christ ministry. You know, we have to attend teaching. We have teachings here. We also we offer marriage encounter retreats. We call it MER. We do it so often, and we can also read the Christian book. So you basically can get everything here in the Couples for Christ in our ministry here in the South Orange County. We're like a Vatican. I mean, we have everything. You need, pastoral advice. You can have it. So basically, like the household heads are like the priests of the family, and then the unit heads are the bishops, and we even have our Pope Francis, right there. His real name is Francis, by the way. And then the next one is that words of the same. We need to seek other Christian couples, share your concerns about family, and be in regular fellowship with them. Priscilla and I have been I've been a member of Couples for Christ Ministry for about 6 years now, and you know what? There's never been a dull moment because it's a balance. It's a balance of spirituality, and there's also a balance of fun. There's fellowship, there's laughter. It's not something that is really, really boring. And you know what? We look at our families and we probably tell ourselves, you know what? We're not there yet. We're missing a lot. Like a lot of our families, though, we are a work in progress. So we just have to continue, brothers and sisters. We just have to persevere. What I'm going to do is we're going to end our talk tonight with a. You know what? I'm going to have the kids actually share a little bit about. Before I do that, I just want to show you what our kids do in the Kids for Christ ministry. So when we have talks, when somebody's giving talks to the adults, the kids are in the back. This kids here, when was that? A couple weeks ago, they were praying. So they gather around and they pray. And the way we pray, basically, is the way the kids pray is that it's called TSP. So T would be Thanksgiving. We thank you, Lord. And that's actually thank you, Lord, for giving us this. And then S would be supplication. We're sorry for what we've done. And then the third one is P is please, we lift up to you, things like that. If you look at that prayer, actually, it's patterned on the Our Father, because the Our Father, we praise God first, right? That's where we start, and then after that, and then we ask for the daily bread. So the same thing with the kids' prayer, and they do it amongst themselves. I mean, sometimes they're having fun. If you listen to them, if you really want to see the kids' life, you can see it through their eyes. It's by listening to their prayers. Because after they do their prayers, they also share a little bit about what happened today and what happened at school today. So they share what is it that we can do to improve our relationship with our parents. So if you listen to those discussions, it's really great. I will show you some more pictures. This is the kids' camp. And they were taught how to tie knots. And that's our family. That's Sister Beck, is back there. And this is the kids' village that they had it. We had it at the Cal State Fullerton this year. It was so much fun. At night, the adults would, a few adults will go around and monitor, walk around the hallways, making sure that kids are not getting up and going into other places, other kids' room. And then this is our Harvest Festival. Okay, so before we end it, I'm going to have Sean and Lizzie share their experiences with the ministry, with the Kids for Christ ministry, and the Couples for Christ ministry.
When I first joined KFC, I was pretty shy. But then I met some new friends, and I started to have fun. I learned many things through my experiences at KFC. For example, I learned that we all need to trust God. I also learned how we need to be good to one another and respect our family, and also how we must love God always. Even though I was only a little child at first, I learned so much about God and how we are part of God's kingdom. Thank you.
Hi, I am Lizzie and I am going to talk about At ecology camp, I learned to take care of what God made us. At senior camp, we learned how to trust people more. And at Kids Village, we learned how to work as a team. I learned many things in KFC. We had a lot of fun there too. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean Lizzie. You know, if your week is like mine, you know, we're so busy, everything's going 100 miles an hour, and sometimes we don't know, you know, how we schedule things, how we can take care of things, you know, laundry, cleaning, cooking, work, you know, all of that, kids' activities. There's so many things that that's in front of us. And sometimes we just feel like, what? We just want, God, you know what? I just give up. I don't want to do it anymore. So I surrender. Sometimes we just want to raise our hand. I don't want to do this anymore. But sometimes, though, brothers and sisters, when we surrender, surrendering is actually not bad for us Christians. Because when we surrender to God and we just allow Him to take over our lives and have them help us, you know, take care of what needs to be taken care of, it's a good thing. So I just want you guys to listen to this reflection song and just think of the things that you have learned tonight and the things that you will do when you go back to your homes and really be a player, be a participant in improving the Christian family. So let's lift our hands with faith and eyes. That concludes our talk. Thank you very much for listening. Appreciate it.